I hope you join me in this new series on pranayama or yogic breathing exercises. Pranayama is an amazing practice. It's when we work with postures or asana, we're breaking down physical blockages in the body. And when we work with pranayama, we're regulating the energy in the body. So we will start in these videos, we will start from the very basic and then work towards a practice with each video. It is a really great idea to get a live teacher that practices pranayama, that has experience with this, to take a look at you at least once a month to see how you're doing and to answer any questions. But in these videos, we can practice different aspects of pranayama and start carving out a little piece of time, a bit of time every day for the practice. So that's the hardest part, is really dedicating those 10 to 12 minutes a day where you lay down or you sit down in your pranayama corner and you do your practice. So I would recommend practicing on an empty stomach. So first thing in the morning is really great. And if you have your yoga practice first thing in the morning, practice pranayama after your yoga practice. So if you've had a really intense practice, I would give it maybe half an hour of rest. So however, you do it, sometimes you need more or less so that your nervous system is more relaxed to start pranayama. Or you can practice at night. If a few hours, maybe 4 hours after dinner or something like that, and you have a moment at night, you can do it at night too. So pick a time in the day that works for you and then dedicate those 12 minutes a day to the practice. In this video, we are going to look at how to fold the pranayama blanket to get started on your yogic breathing practice. So we're going to look at these different kinds of blankets, but the blanket that I recommend it's this texture. So it's a stable cotton blanket. So it's going to be really easy to stack, and it's not slippery. So there are other more colorful kinds of cotton blankets like this that are just perfect to use as well. All right, so the way that I'll start is I want to fold the blanket very precisely. So I fold my blanket in a big square like this, and I make sure that, just this, and I make sure that the edge is without any lumps on the inside. So I fold it very nicely, very flat. So I can put my hand here and make sure I work out any lumps. And I will have the edge where there's the two folded sides together, and then my folded side. Then I have what I call the raw edge that has all of these unfolded, raw edges here together. So I want to make sure that I have the side with the two folded sides of the blanket. So the blanket was like this, and I folded the blanket, so I have the two non-raw sides and the folded edge here. All right. Great. So the way that I fold the blanket is I think of this area here of my chest, and I divide that in three. So if I were to divide it in three, I would have this little piece here that it's about 3 inches, and then I have another piece here and another piece here. So the first piece is this distance. So I come 3 inches from the edge, 3 inches in, and I pinch there, and I do the same thing with my other hand until I have this little 3-inch piece, and I lay it on top of the blanket. So I line up the piece about a little less than 1 inch away from the edge. So I start having a little pyramid effect there, and I line these up perfectly. Now here on this side where I have all the raw edges, it does not need to line up. And then I finish off my pyramid. So I grab at around, a finger away from my edge here, and I fold it again. So if you can see, I'm having almost a little pyramid starting to form here. And I want to make sure that they're not very big. You know, I don't have really large steps. They're less than an inch, less than 2 centimeters there. Okay, making sure that it's nice and flat. And if I have room for another one, in this blanket I do not. So what I'm gonna do is just keep that side flat, like that. So that is what I want. Kind of see the little steps formation there. Okay. And there I have it, my pranayama blanket. One side will be nice and aligned and almost, you know, will be my perfect side. And then my opposite side is not, and that's fine. So that's how I want to fold the blanket to get started. So grab a belt, or if you have a scarf, that will work just fine. And then wrap it around the body and tighten it just a little bit. So as you tighten, move the rib cages towards the belt. So expand the chest laterally and then allow the breath to go in there. So you are creating the space and then the breath comes in. So the breath is not what expands the body. You create that space create the space and then the breath comes in. So we'll do that a few times. So create a little bit of a tightness so that you can feel the rib cages moving out to the side. If I had a handle here, I could pull them out. And inhale and then exhale. And all of the inhaling and exhaling is done through the nose. So the mouth is closed. So we'll do that one more time. Expand the ribs. And then soften the eyes, the ears, the throat, and exhale. So once you've done that a few times, you're ready to come into the blanket and start the pranayama practice like that. So I'll show you how to do that. I want to lay down so that the top strip of the blanket that I've folded here is right at the center of my chest. So I put 2 fingers behind here where I feel where the very top layer of that blanket is, and I have those 2 fingers making sure that they are aligned, and they're, you know, the center of my blanket is right in the center of my vertebral column. All right, and then I move just a little bit away, so I don't want to be touching the belt here, and I have my knees bent, and I lay back in the center of that blanket. Then I move my pillow so that it's not, you know, right in my neck, but supporting my head, so that this chin is pointing down a bit. So I don't have this effect when I lay down. I have more of a slightly tilting down effect here. So I'm laying down on the blanket. I make sure that I lift the chest here. So I lift the chest towards the wall, not towards the ceiling. So in this way, it's this kind of a lift. And then if my right leg is my dominant leg, I bring the right leg down first, then the left. And now I'm not in Shavasana, but I'm laying down in my laying down pranayama pose. And I begin here, and the palms are facing up, and the inside of the upper arm here is not touching the side of my chest. So I'm not laying down like this. So I will lay down, and the first few breaths, I release any tension in the eyes, the ears, and the throat. And I do a few breaths, but that's all that I need to do is I release the eyes, the ears, and the throat. So again, as I breathe in, keep the chest lifted, and as I breathe out, keep the chest lifted so I don't have to collapse the chest. So if you want to just place your fingers right on your collarbones, so pretend the skin of the front of the body is coming up and they're rolling in through the back of the collarbone. So it's almost like a conveyor belt here in the front where you breathe in and then the breath comes in here through the front and then rolls behind the collarbones going back down, but this is still rolling up. So you keep that constant lift of the chest, and then the skin of the back is going down towards the sacrum, so I don't get this bunching of the skin of my back into my neck, right? So it's a lift here, and then you can release the belly. So do a few breaths like that. And the skin here, if the neck were not to be connected, with your body, so right at this area of your collarbone, it's very soft. So you can almost put your fingers here and it would be soft and deep versus very tense and almost, gripped right here, this area of the neck. So let's do a few breaths where you can have your fingers on your collarbones, lifting the chest here towards the wall behind your head, releasing the eyes, the ears, and the throat. Noticing if there's any tension here around the brain diaphragm, any tension in the neck. And then take a few normal breaths where you're not actively doing anything. All right, so what we'll do now is the same thing we were doing while we were sitting down. So wrap the belt around the rib cage, tighten the belt just a little bit and expand the rib cage to the sides, using that resistance in the belt to really feel the expansion in the rib cage without tensing the eyes, the ears, or the throat. Inhale into the space and then lift the chest, widen the rib cage. Inhale and exhale. Do 3 of these breaths. So when you're taking breaths here in pranayama, make sure that you are just almost drinking the breath so that when you're inhaled, the breath doesn't hit the brain. It just goes smoothly into the body, into the lungs. So usually I would hear, never sip the air, just drink the air. Being thankful for every breath, sensing the flavor, the smoothness, and the life force that you get every time you take a breath. And when you're ready, without tensing the eyes, the ears, and the throat, go ahead and bend the knees, roll to the right, and come up. So this would be a great way to start your pranayama yogic breathing journey, just to start discovering what it means to drink the air, to take breath and lift the chest. And so working with those concepts for a few days. And it's always a good idea to do Shavasana after pranayama. So I would come out of the support into the floor where your back is flat, and then I hope this helps. I hope that you join me on this pranayama journey, and let me know if you have any questions. Just send them on the comments, and have a wonderful day. Thank you. See you on the next video.